Welcome back to the news at 10. It's been a tragic day in Ile-Ife, Osun State, where at least 7 people have reportedly been killed, with several others injured in the violence that broke out earlier today. The Deputy Commissioner of Police in the command, Aminu Koji, told journalists that the incident was caused by a disagreement between 2 traders on Tuesday night. Meanwhile, the state government has declared a 2-day dusk to dawn curfew in the town as part of measures to bring the situation under control. Let's cross over to Abuja now. Here's Ibrahim Adra. Hey, Ibrahim.
Hello, Ijoma. Happy Women's Day to you and other women across the globe. Let's begin from Abuja here, where the United States government has clarified that there is no reason for Nigerians with valid visas to postpone or cancel their travel to the U.S. The clarification was made in a statement issued today by the U.S. Embassy in the Nigeria's capital, and it states that Nigeria was not named in the executive order on immigration issued on March the 6th by the White House. This clarification follows the statement earlier released by the President's Special Assistant on Foreign Affairs, warning Nigerians intent on traveling to the U.S. to delay their trip until there is clarity on the ban order. The Minister of Foreign Affairs yesterday countered the directive by the President's aide, insisting that Nigerians with valid U.S. visa are free to travel. Now, the Federal Executive Council says it is determined to get the nation's economy out of recession before the end of this year. The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Udo Udoma, said this while briefing State House correspondents on the outcome of the council meeting chaired by Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo. According to him, the early release of the 2017 budget will fast-track the implementation of the economic growth plan, which his ministry has just released. Our State House correspondent Chukuma Onekusi reports on the issues discussed at today's council meeting.
The Vice President enters to preside over yet another session of the Federal Executive Council meeting, which coincides with his 60th birthday. The ministers may not have rehearsed very well, but they have to honor him with this song. Perhaps the birthday celebration could have been with pomp and pageantry if the economy is doing very well. A recent release by the Bureau of Statistics shows that the economy is still witnessing some contraction, a source of concern to the government.
The overall result was better than many people projected. The IMF thought it was going to be, for 2016, was going to be minus 1.8. It turned out minus 1.5. So that is better than expected, but we're not out of the woods. To get the economy out of recession before the end of this year. That is what we're working on. And the 2017 budget, as the President himself said when he presented it, it is structured to do just that.
A greater majority of residents of the Federal Capital Territory do not have access to potable water, another source of concern to the government.
As you know, water supply to the city, based on the master plan, has not been able to extend to other phases of the city. And the intention of this project, which is being funded by the China Exim Bank, is to provide water to what we call loops 1, 2, 5, and 6. The first one is the approval for the award of contract for the construction of the Greater Abuja Water Supply Project at a total cost of $470 million, US dollars. This is a very important project for the residents of the city because it aims to provide potable water supply to the greater part of the city.
They rounded off the day with the cutting of the birthday cake as some of the ministers joined the Vice President to do that.
60!
The whole hoping there will be a more elaborate celebration by the time the country is pulled out of recession, perhaps next year. Chukwuma Onwekusi, Channels Television News.
The much-awaited closure of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport is taking place, and all flights are now headed to the Kaduna Airport, which will serve as the alternative for the next 6 weeks. Our aviation correspondent Bukola Joe Ketumbi, who has been monitoring the situation in Kaduna, reports at the first day of operations at the facility has been with mixed feelings.
This is the Abuja-Kaduna Highway, a road that is now a strategic link for passengers seeking to connect both cities for the Kaduna Airport. A ride along this road shows not only a recent upgrade, but the presence of security operatives at strategic points as the federal government aims to assure travelers of safety.
What the government has done now is that they have really created a model, a highway model, how a road safety operation should be on a highway. So from Kaduna now, from Abuja to the airport here now, we have about 14 commands.
Away from the highway to the Kaduna Airport Terminal, which has come alive as it now serves as an alternate to the Abuja Airport, which closes for a complete runway rehabilitation. At the check-in area of the new International Terminal building, passengers queue to obtain their tickets and process their traveling documents. The police, customs and immigration officials are also present to provide the necessary security checks to ensure safety of passengers and their luggage. At exactly 11:30 a.m. Wednesday, Ethiopian Airlines taxis in as the first foreign airline and is welcomed by the traditional water cannon salute. For the aviation ministry, this diversion is taken off on a good note, and Ethiopia's flight into Kaduna is a demonstration of faith in the country. Some passengers who arrived at the airport from Abuja to board their international flight say the ordeal of getting to the terminal and the passenger processing is tedious. But there are also some who are satisfied with the level of facilities at the airport.
It's quite a long road to come, but this is a pleasant airport and I'm very pleased to be here on the first day of the international operations.
The train station from Abuja here was very fine, but getting here I couldn't enter because they were not ready for us. And now I'm just entering, everywhere looks rowdy.
Reacting to the complaints, the managing director of the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria says teething problems will be addressed.
So this is the first day, and normally the first days will have hitches here and there. Everybody is trying to position themselves. We want to assure all the passengers, intending passengers that intend to use Kaduna Airport, that we are ready.
The arrival of Ethiopian Airlines marks the commencement of international operations at this airport. Authorities are hoping that the success of this exercise will attract other foreign carriers. From the international terminal of the Kaduna Airport, Bukola Joe Ketumbi, Channels Television News.
Well, many thanks, Bukola. We go right back to Lagos, where Anne Nwaudo is standing by with the latest from the world of business. Anne.
You first. First Bank.
Well, thanks a lot, Ibrahim. Welcome to the world of business. Economic and financial analysts have been commenting on the federal government's economic recovery plan released on Tuesday. The CEO of financial derivatives company, Mr. Brice Makriwane, believes there is consistency between the plan and the 2017 budget. He also says it is important to have a credible plan before the IMF meetings later this year to restore creditors' confidence.
It's called an economic recovery and growth plan. Recovering from what? Recovering from a recession. And actually of 4 quarters, consecutive quarters of negative growth. Now, 2, growth. You cannot recover without having growth. So the first plan is to bring growth within reason. That is, you're targeting 2.5% growth in the budget of 2017. Also, it helps to reconcile the ideological differences between the policymaking community in Nigeria. There are those who believe in state heavy state participation, those who believe in a free economy, and those who agree on a mixed economy. This plan seeks to reconcile the other ideological differences. Thirdly, it is a very audacious plan in terms of trying to achieve 7% growth by the year 2020 and create over 3 million jobs, because that is the way to attain full employment. That is the broad objective. Secondly, what does this mean to the ordinary man? That's you and I. And how is it going to affect our lives today? And do we have to wait to 2020 to see the results of this? The truth is that because there is consistency between this plan and the budget, which is the one-year plan, the stimulus package of 2017 is integrated into this recovery plan. And that by the time we go for the spring meetings in Washington in April, we would have a plan that is respectable and is, credible, so that our creditors and those who are going to lend us money under our borrowing program will be satisfied that we are going to achieve what is desired.
The Kwara State House of Assembly has passed the 2017 budget of 160 billion naira. After the third reading and final passage of the budget, the Speaker, Dr. Ali Ahmad, said the budget was increased by 25 billion naira from last year to address other challenges. Sell-offs by major industrial goods stocks drove the local equities down today, pulling back gains recorded on Tuesday by 0.57%. For more on today's transactions, here is Harriet Agbeni.
At the close of midweek trading, profit-taking hit the Nigerian equities market as the all-share index shed 57 basis points to settle at 24,986.02, owing to losses recorded by some banking and industrial goods stocks. Petroleum retailer Eterna had 9.45% shaved off its share price to lead Ashaka Cement, United Capital, and 13 other equities that got the cold shoulder from investors. On the other hand, consumer goods, Unilever, Nigerian Breweries, and Dangote Sugar were the top three appreciators for the session, sustaining the consumer sector index. It was a decent trading day, as transactions worth 3.89 billion naira were consummated in 3,191 deals for 218.72 million shares. Stanbic IBTC Holdings, Axis Bank, and Zenith Bank were three most actively traded at today's session. Those are the day's trading figures. I'm Harriet Agbeni.
Thank you, Harriet. Wall Street opened slightly higher today as investors brace up for the interest rate hike decision by the Federal Reserve next week. With details from the Nasdaq market site in New York is VOA Channels TV business correspondent Jill Malandrino.
U.S. stocks opened modestly higher for the first time in 3 days, led by the banks in front of the anticipated rate hike next week. Stocks are largely in a holding pattern, slipping about 1% over the last few days from the record highs posted last Wednesday. This is also in front of the ECB monetary policy meeting tomorrow morning, the jobs payroll data on Friday for February, and of course the FOMC two-day interest rate meeting next week. All three benchmarks closed lower on Tuesday for a second straight day, marking the first back-to-back decline for the S&P 500 and Dow Jones since late January. That's with energy dragging and a strengthening dollar. Oil prices slid overnight after China, the world's second largest energy consumer, imported less crude in February, while API data showed a sharp jump in U.S. supply that's over 11 million barrels in the latest week. The big news going into today's session was China recorded a surprise trade deficit in February, its first since 2014, following a surge in imports about 28% month over month after the Lunar New Year holiday, and an unexpected drop in exports, just a bit more than 1%. Recall trade deficits with China is a hot topic with President Trump and his new administration. From the Nasdaq market site in New York, I'm Jill Malandrino, and this is VOA Channel's Business News.
Let's mix sentiments across the board for some of the world-leading stock markets today, following a combination of falling oil prices, rise in U.S. February jobs data, and continued concerns of geopolitical tensions in Asia. Let's see the numbers. That's Business News Tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Anne Nwawodu. Back to you, Joma.
You first. First Bank.
Still ahead on the news at 10, boxing promoter Bob Arum reveals that much anticipated fight between Britain's Amir Khan and Filipino champion Manny Pacquiao has been cancelled. That's on sports. Please stay with us.